Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk with Tom, and my name is Tom. As always, my name hasn't changed. Today, we need to talk about this new Ninja Turtles. We gotta talk about it. I gotta talk about it. I need to get these things out of my head and my heart and into the universe. So for those of you who do not know, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is Nickelodeon's newest installment in the Ninja Turtles franchise. Now, you might be thinking, Tom, what makes this different than all the other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shows that we've been getting for the last, 30 years? Well, I'm gonna tell you, so hold your whole horse. The whole horse, just hold it up, press it over your head, maybe deadlift it, I don't know. Just hold it. Just hold it, okay? I already did a news video on this show, and I've actually been following it since the early announcements. I remember back when just the designs were released for this new show, and people was mad. People were mad. The Turtles looked completely different. April O'Neil was black, and you know how people feel when there's a person of color that wasn't there in a franchise they love. They start screaming forced diversity like their favorite drink is diet racism. And also, people just don't like change. We like constants in our life. We like to see things stay the same and not go away, because then it makes us feel like we aren't changing and we aren't going past our prime and slowly fading into the void that is the universe. But yeah, the entire show, beyond the base premise of what the Ninja Turtles are, has been completely reimagined. Now, me personally, I'm totally welcoming this. I'm totally welcoming a completely reimagined version of the Ninja Turtles, and also just all these new 80s reboots we're getting. I'm ecstatic because so many of these shows, like Ninja Turtles is kind of the exception, but so many of these shows, the originals were just awful. This She-Ra reboot is looking good, and I'm happy about that because everything I've seen of the original She-Ra looks like a hot mess. Her introduction movie, oh my god. Yikes. That's all I'm gonna say. Just yikes. And also Street Sharks. I still love the concept for Street Sharks, but the execution of the original series was very, very underwhelming. And I know why, it's because they were just trying to sell toys, but dog, can we do it for real? Can we do it for real? Because I'd like to do it for real. I'd like to have a genuinely good Street Sharks series. But this isn't about Street Sharks, it's not about She-Ra, it's not about any of that. We're talking about the Ninja Turtles. And the Ninja Turtles, the thing is, the Ninja Turtles original show wasn't bad. It was actually pretty good because they had the comics to go off of. They weren't just making it to sell toys. I mean, they were, but they weren't just writing the story to tell toys, because they were already making the comics and everything. They already had something to go off of to make it actually somewhat quality. But the thing is we've been rehashing the same thing for so long that it's starting to get tired. Now we're actually reimagining everything, just completely rehauling the designs, the characters, the plot, just everything into a whole new show. It feels fresh again. And I'm actually really happy because when I was a kid, I loved the Ninja Turtles. Every bit of Ninja Turtles merchandise I would try and get, and I still have more Ninja Turtles toys than I will ever know what to do with, just because I love the Ninja Turtles so much. And you know what? I'm actually proving all those 80s shows right, because they got me. But despite the fact that I loved it so much when I was a kid, watching it get remade over and over again with very minimal changes, I haven't cared about the Ninja Turtles for a long time up until now. And I have no issue with the changes that they're making because they feel necessary at this point. We don't need to see faithful tributes to the original anymore. We have plenty of those. And after all this time, why not change up the characters a little bit? Why not change up the world a little bit? Why not change things up a bit? And do so in a way that tries to get more out of them than what we've gotten in the past. And all the characters, everyone kind of maintains their core personality, but the writing has changed. The way that they're portrayed has changed. Except maybe in the case of April, because April is just completely different. But of course, I mentioned before, April has never really had a consistent personality or character. For the most part, she's always just been here's a girl for the sake of having a girl in the show. But also just the bit of personality and background she's had has always been drastically changed from reboot to reboot. So it's yeah, why not just make her a whole new character? If you're gonna do it well, why not? And now, April's a standout member of the cast. Like, she's actually really enjoyable to watch with, like, all of her attitude and charisma. Like, she's actually one of the best parts of the show. And as for the Turtles themselves, Donatello is actually my favorite. And I never thought I would say that, because, like, Donatello's always kind of been, like, the geeky, like, ooh, I know how to do tech stuff, but it doesn't really come into play that much when we're actually fighting or anything. But, like, this Donatello, like, not only does his inventiveness and technological intelligence actually come into play with how he fights and how he interacts with the world around him, but he's actually one of the most prominent personalities in the show. Like, he's actually really funny and charming. Like, he's got a really dry delivery with all of it, and it stays consistent with who he is as a character, but it's really entertaining. And I have to give props to the voice actor, because he does an amazing job. His name is Josh Brenner, and honestly, all the main voice cast is just incredible. Like, Kat Graham as April, Ben Schwartz as Leo, Omar Miller as Raphael, and Brandon Michael Smith as Michelangelo are all really, really great. And it helps that the formatting and just the style of the show really encourages expressive and over-the-top voice acting. But even though the show is setting them up to show off their talents, they have to have talent to begin with to show off, and it's definitely there. Like, the voice acting is probably one of the best parts of the show, second probably only to the visual presentation, but I'm going on a whole tangent right now. Like, I was talking about characters a second ago, so let's go back to that. So basically what they did was, rather than just kind of falling back on the archetypes that we've known since the 80s, they used the basic premise of the personalities of every character to enhance what the writers have to bring to these characters. And it really works. It's kind of like they went in and they're just like, okay, what was wrong with these characters before that kind of held them back? What can we do to fix that, but also keep the good things? Like, Michelangelo has always been kind of annoying. Like, he was funny, he was cool, but he was kind of annoying. Now, instead of being overwhelming and in your face with his personality, Michelangelo is just kind of more naive and innocent, which perfectly matches to capture Michelangelo's personality and give him a sense of comedic relief. But it's not overwhelming, it's very subtle, and it feels very natural, and it feels like a real person, rather than just a radical character to get the kids to like him. And Raphael has always been like this really angry, brooding, almost like edgy type of character, and that character does really well with like adolescent boys, but like not many other demographics. And I liked Raphael as a kid. I think he was my favorite character, but like as an adult, it's like, dog, what's going on with you, man? Like, are you okay? But like this Raphael, like he's more of like kind of a jock, and not like a jock that's like a dick. Like, he's big and in your face, but as you get more familiar with him, he has a more goofy and softer personality. And I think maybe some hardcore Raphael fans might be upset about this, and I completely understand, because it's a very big change. He probably has the biggest change in character compared to like any of the other turtles. But like, I really like it, and I almost like, the way I see it is like he's just the big beefy turtle. Like, he's the big snapping turtle. He can bulldoze anyone else on the team in a contest of just pure power and strength. And it's kind of like the Raphael we once knew had like all these like insecurities about like his masculinity or like his strength and all this other stuff. And now it's like he's just this big dude and he doesn't have that anymore. Like, he has no reason to feel insecure about that. And instead he has to work more towards being a more compassionate person. And that's changed the way that he's experienced the world. That changes the way he interacts with people, because he doesn't have to try hard to scare people. Like, he's just scary on his own. So he actually kind of has to like pull it back. Or at least that's just like me speculating though. That's like my own little headcanon. But it kind of like brings into question, like, if the Raphaels of the past were, roided up and just giant beefy dudes, like, would they be as aggressive and brooding as they were? Or would they just kind of chill out? Because they're like, I'm a giant snapping turtle, and me being emotionally open isn't gonna change that. And then there's Leonardo. And Leonardo I was actually scared for, because what they did with this series was they changed it to where Raphael is now the leader. And in the past, Leonardo has always been the leader, and that's been like his base personality, is that he is the leader of the group. So I was a bit worried that like they would either change his character to a point where you can't even recognize him anymore, or that they were going to just take that away from him and then he was just gonna be bland and have no personality. But what they did was actually really interesting. Like, the thing is his personality hasn't really changed, it's just his role in the group has changed. It's kind of like Raphael is the driver and Leonardo is the navigator. Like, Leonardo is very intelligent. And like, Donatello is supposed to be the smart one, but the thing is they show like the vast difference in different types of intelligence. Like, Donatello is a more techie, book smarts type intelligence, and Leonardo has more of this like natural intelligence when it comes to like strategies, almost leadership, but not quite leadership. Like, Raph still goes in first, he's still leading the group, but like Leonardo is like the brains behind the group. Like, despite him not being the leader, he's still the one that kind of points the group in the right direction so that they know basically what they're doing. Another important thing that I'm just dying to talk about is the art direction in this show is so great. Like, the animation looks so awesome. Like, there are some points where you can kind of tell like they didn't do a lot of in-between shots, and I feel like if they did, it would be a lot more fluid, but it works with the style of the show, so I'm not going to complain too much. The perspectives are really unique, the composition is really good, and the action is just overall very fast-paced and impactful. It looks awesome. And the fact that the show is able to do action so well and be so aesthetically pleasing makes it really easy to accept the comedic tone. Like, I know usually with action shows, like, you think reboot with comedy and you think like Teen Titans Go, which I'm not going to knock Teen Titans Go, but it's not the original Teen Titans as far as action and narrative go. But when the art direction is so kind to the action and makes it look so good, I mean, I'm like, oh, you want to do an episode where Mikey and Donnie need to go repo an RV from Flapjack and they get manipulated by his kindness and puppies? If it means you're going to stay on the air to make more awesome action sequences, then go ahead. I'll happily accept that. Now, something some people may complain about, and this is a valid criticism, is that the Turtles just aren't trained. Like, just the Turtles have no training. Like, they aren't really Ninja Turtles. Now, I really like the fact that they feel like teenagers. Like, this is the first time that they actually feel like a group of teenagers. But they're very much untrained. And when it comes to their fighting skills, they're very, very rough. And like, the first fight in the series is kind of a mess for them. But at the same time, like, I mean, if y'all have ever watched Sailor Moon, like, the first 2 seasons, Usagi is just bad. Like, she's just bad at being a Sailor Guardian. And like, as they started adding on more Sailor Guardians, they were either like, oh, it's okay, you're doing fine, sweetie. Or they were like, homegirl, what are you doing? You've been doing this longer than all of us, except for Sailor V. But when Sailor V ain't in the uniform, she's the type of person to lose her glasses on her face. So, like, you got no excuse. You should be killing this, but you suck. Like, you got no excuse to be this incompetent. Man, I still need to finish Sailor Moon. But yeah, no, I'm gonna be honest. Sailor Moon kind of made me more accepting of the fact that sometimes the protagonist is just bad at what they're doing, and they just need to get better over time. But the thing is like, Master Splinter doesn't really seem interested in training them, so that's kind of a weird... It's a weird position because like, they desperately need to develop in that category, and it seems like they're just gonna leave that all up to their experiences that they get in the field. Like, there's some progression just in the few episodes that are out, and you see them get better. But the thing is like, if they were actually trained, I feel like they would get so much better, so much faster. I mean, they're probably gonna find a way to do that, but I don't know, right now, that's like my main thing is like, that's like the main gripe that I have, and it's not a big one. So overall, this show is off to a great start. Like, they're just getting started, they got a lot more to do, and there's a lot of potential. And they already got so much good going on, like, they got so much time to build on that. Like, honestly, just support this show so it can keep going and keep getting better. Because honestly, this is a good show. It's worth watching, I promise you. I mean, I can't promise you because maybe your taste doesn't necessarily align with it, but it's a great show. And that's all I got to say about it. Thank you for watching Let's Talk with Tom on the Roundtable, but Tom isn't just on the Roundtable. I have my own self-titled personal channel. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, I have a Snapchat, I have all that good stuff. In fact, I even have a Tumblr. So, if you're interested in any of that, check that out, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!